Welcome everyone to this ALMA session. My name is Jarek. I'm the co-CEO of Revenue Capital. For those who haven't seen me live yet, great to be with you. I mean, it's supposed to be our standard to carry on talking to you, if not over the video sessions, then at least over the audio ones. I'll give you more news about it probably at the very end of the session itself. So for now, let me just explain very quickly what's going to happen. We collected approximately 20 questions, the 20 questions you've been having so far, prepared for the session. I'll answer them all. Obviously, I'll be reading what questions I'm answering, so some of you might recognize the questions you've been asking here. If there is space and time, to answer any additional questions you'll be putting live, of course, I'll handle them as well. So please keep asking, if there's anything you feel is not answered or is not answered properly. So the ground rules. I won't be able to connect live with any one of you, so I'm the only one talking. So that it's basically handled, swiftly. So once again, if you have a question, please, post it in the channel. If there's no space, no time to answer those questions, we'll make sure the questions are answered either by myself later on over the chat or by our admins. So once again, don't hesitate to ask. Okay, first question. Nowadays, more and more people are convinced that the market is in the bear phase. What is the strategy of Revenue to attract investors during such hard times and to survive till the next bull market? Actually, quite a few questions similar to this one. So I'll answer by answering this question. Let me also address, all current concerns regarding the current state of the market, also the price of our coin, which went down obviously significantly over the last few weeks. What's going to happen next? I mean, the sort of, the whole market volatility and the uncertainty, we are facing. One important fact, and also a reminder, to those of you who are with us maybe since very recently, we are offsetting the risk of investing in crypto-related or token-based projects. So the ones, following the market volatility with or fluctuations, with all other coins. So we are investing in both on-chain and off-chain projects. As you can imagine, there might be a couple of really interesting blockchain or blockchainized or tokenized projects, which are not necessarily, either issuing their own tokens or trading these tokens, but are used, purely for the utility purposes. We have a few projects like that on our radar. The details of which you can, by the way, check on our blog. So we posted recently 21 projects we are currently shortlisting for the further due diligence and screening processes. So the key thing here is that we also want to derive the value of the coin from the revenues, from the activities generated off-chain, so coming actually from different sources and different markets than the crypto market itself. That's the key difference and the key differentiator our project is having over, I believe, most of the similar projects. Similar projects, not maybe in the sense of token economics, but similar to the simple idea of investing, supporting financially projects by the funds collected from the community. So that's the key factor. So obviously this is supposed to outbalance the fact that the crypto market is volatile. When it goes down, it goes down. I mean, there are very few assets which are resistant to that, and nothing is guaranteed. So obviously, our approach is not guaranteed as well, but at least, I believe there's a pretty solid attempt to kind of offset that. Okay. The next question: how are you going to make the final decision on the selection of projects in which you'll invest? I know there's a token holders vote planned on the subject, but you'll probably want to make the final decision by yourself. So what is the weight of this community vote? And that's a question related, again, like some other questions, to how this voting on those shortlisted projects is going to take place. There are other questions I saw, related to those 21 shortlisted. Is it the final number? Will there be any more, or actually will there be less than this 21? So first of all, those 21 projects are not the one which you will see, at least not in that sort of number, and the not when it comes to the entirety of that number. You will not see all 21 currently shortlisted projects on the voting platform. And the reason is that we will not be relying on such great numbers when it comes to voting. We'd rather be releasing them in the smaller numbers. I mean, the larger number I expect is actually 10, but it might differ. So we'll be providing those startups for the community voting as they will be ready in terms of screening, in terms of due diligence. Basically, once we are having a solid picture and we are convinced that the given project is ready for the community voting and we are happy basically with its performance and the prospects, we'll be providing those projects to the platform. So you might actually, as a group, you will not see all of them being published on the platform. You might probably see much smaller numbers. Will it be 21, let's say, all of them in the next 15 to 30 days? Honestly, I don't know. I mean, currently, I'm probably comfortable with approximately 10 to 12 of those, and there's still due diligence process happening, on some of them. So we'll basically see, how it goes. The good news is that we plan to do all this in the real time. Well, almost, right? So once we have additional projects coming in, we will not be batching them in groups and later, waiting another month or several weeks until they are presented. We'll try to present them basically as they come. So, as soon as we have some good projects being vetted on our end and they are basically, ready for the community voting, they will be provided to the platform. So that's the first thing. Now, there's a question of the control and, how we'll be presenting them. I'm not sure if I can share my screen here. Okay, probably no. But basically, let me just describe it quickly, and we'll be releasing some screenshots and some details on the criteria and how it's all going to look. So basically, we have 11 criteria to be used. And let me just name those criteria very quickly. So we're talking about, we look at the team, we look at the pain points which are highlighted and hopefully solved by the given project. We look at the value proposition, we look at the product. Finally, we also look at the go-to-market strategy. Some of those projects actually, most of them actually are already performing on the market. Still, we are looking at the strategies they currently use to attract customers and the plans to have these strategies being expanded or potentially being improved in the given time. So that's why go-to-market is actually quite interesting for us. We look at the customer traction, so what's been happening so far in terms of the customer acquisition. We look at the financial traction, so again, financially or financial-wise, what's been happening so far in the given project. We look at the business model, so how they're going to make money. what this model is based on. We don't really have any preferences, like, B2C over B2B. We like B2C, as we like communities. We like attracting communities, and we like when those business models are actually quite smart in terms of acquiring customers in masses. But again, there's no certain preference, towards this type of the project. Community, we also look at the numbers, of the followers and the current customers, and what are the plans, what are the strategies in terms of growing those communities. Talking about the community of the clients, but also the communities of everyone revolving around those projects. We are looking at the potential value those projects will be adding to the revenue capital ecosystem, obviously. So the potential synergies with the other projects. Finally, we look at the competition, and how what are the sort of differentiators towards what is already out there, what is available. In terms of voting, so after our analysts, including myself, actually, I take very active role, in this part. When we do all the screening, we are providing, in a simple, quite easy and visual way, we are providing you with information on how each of the projects is performing within each of this criteria, and we leave the rest to you. So basically, you'll be having a chance looking at the project, looking at all this information. Obviously, there's a proper description of the project, links to the community channels, links to the websites, so that they could you could do your own research. You could either support a given project, you can be neutral, or you can be against us supporting anyhow the given project. So we'll give you like those three options. You could follow our guidelines, or you can simply do your own research, like I say, and make your own decision. So this will leave up to you. Those projects meeting a certain threshold, so those with the clear signs of the community support, they will be considered for the last step of the negotiations, which is now related to the term sheets presented to those teams, and eventually deals, funding deals being made. So long story short, that's how we're going to do that. I remember there were other questions. Let me maybe skip the order I have here, but I remember there were other questions related to would those votes somehow will be weighted? Would they be weighted against the numbers of tokens acquired? Yes, that's the plan. There's been also concerns regarding those tokens which are currently staked or farmed. So we do plan to take them into account as well. The voting platform is not ready yet. We are currently working on actually the last aspect, so to make sure that all RVC tokens are considered while voting. Our expectations are that within the next 2 weeks, approximately, the voting platform will be ready, and there will be also other utility aspects, how we want to use the voting platform. So it's not just the matter of voting for projects. There will be other projects, other ideas. We will be involving you. We'll be announcing this, I believe, soon. At the latest, with the announcement of the platform itself to be ready, but we can see quite a few exciting things happening with the release of the platform itself. There was also a question I remember related to maybe more active way or more active role you as the community members could take in vetting, screening those projects we are about to propose. There is also a plan towards that. Most likely it will not be ready though, for the first wave of the projects to be suggested, as we'd like to do it as soon as possible, so that we can count on having the whole, token economics process, finally moving. But in a still rather shorter than longer run, we plan to involve you to do certain jobs. Now, evaluating those jobs, rewarding you for those jobs, this is also something we'd like to do in the thorough and systemic way. I can announce maybe and state right now that this is supposed to be something which will be eventually embedded in the whole selection process. So the community members would be having a chance to kind of help us out and to be rewarded for the process. Those who would systematically keep doing a good job would be highlighted additionally. How, I honestly don't know right now. I mean, a few options obviously, so either providing the whole community with the profiles of those who are the most active and the most effective here as well. That's one of the ideas. There are also a couple of other ideas, but we'll make sure that all hard work here is properly rewarded and highlighted. Okay, let me move on. By the way, I thought about this AMA to last approximately 1 hour, 1.5 hours. We'll see how efficient it's going to be. Fortunately, I'm a little bit talkative, so I expect issues like answering all questions, but I'll do my best. Okay, next question. Besides monetary support, are there other ways RVC will support projects in their future growth? For instance, mentoring, coaching, identifying problems. Yes, there are a few aspects we are putting on the table while pitching revenue capital and its funding model to the prospect companies. As well, to some of you it might actually come as a surprise, but we have to also pitch ourselves, to those good projects to come across. Not only is different, for the investors as the, I think pretty clear use case for the investors here, but also someone who's giving not just money, but a way more than just money to the startups themselves. So at first, I would say it is a pretty massive exposure those projects will be getting, thanks to you guys, by the way, thanks to our community. So we want to properly expose every single project which is either seriously considered by us to be invested, or obviously already invested. So you as the community members, you can count on being properly informed about the growth and the development happening on those project sites. I mean, we have to be respectful, obviously, not to break, anything what normally would be protected by NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. But this information, which is public or which we can share, we'll definitely share, and we'll make sure that it's known and it's provided, in the systematic way. So that's also how we plan to work with those projects. And on the other side, those projects will be also highly exposed to our community and hopefully supported by this community as well. So the large community provided by our side for those projects is one of the clear value added for those new projects coming in. Another aspect, obviously, lies within the ecosystem itself. So the already mentioned synergies between different projects, cross-selling between communities, following, supporting by each of these projects. That's also something what we are heavily focusing on to embrace, and reward, the communities brought in by the funded, by the invested projects. There is also an aspect of creating solutions within the ecosystem in terms of either specially designed or project hidden for the customers outside. So that's also something what our current and future projects from the portfolio can count on in terms of accelerating their exposure, making themselves more attractive to the early adopters or simply adopters, customers coming recruited from our end, from our community side. We also plan to play active role in terms of coaching and advising, yes, on both aspects. So the first one is growth, marketing, sales related. At the other hand, the development, especially those undergoing or actively considering tokenization. We have the resources available. We have also the expertise to be helping them out, and that's also something what we suggest and propose. So all in all, we plan to be quite active founders or financial supporters. Again, not limiting the support to funding only, but to provide other values as well. This all is constantly we monitored and the information collected and what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, we plan to keep a close eye on those projects and to be active in terms of collecting information about where they are, what they do, what they need, as there's a system of frequent meetings with these guys, plans, and like I said, also not too annoying maybe reporting system, but some sort of a reporting these projects will be providing to us, and through us also providing to them. So we hope to be well informed about their needs and to be able to react promptly and effectively. There's also another question related to the price, that the price is now at the pre-sale stage, the price of RVC token, obviously, and that it seems to be a failure. Especially that there was a massive burn, happening on our ends at the TGE. So what's going on? Well, the simple answer is token economics. To be honest, token economics is not working on our end at this stage. It cannot be working with no startup so far being part of it. So that's where absolute majority of the focus, from our end right now goes. So apart from the listing, apart from, the constant developments on the token side, and making sure that we have a proper visibility through additional listings, and so on and so forth. I would say that now the majority of the focus goes into scouting for, screening, vetting good projects, making the proper due diligence process, and basically bringing them into the light. And like I said, I expect the first of these projects to be available to you over the voting platform within the next couple of weeks. As soon as the voting platform is on. So that this process can finally, start, and then we start talking about the proper token economics being put in place, and I can promise you that there will be no excuses back then. I mean, once the token economics works, then we would see an effect of this in our price. Okay, what is the most important thing when you come to selecting potential startups? There are actually a few. I mean, I wouldn't say it's always only one. We like looking at the teams. and this is a cliche, like every VC fund, every fund investing in project, in startups, they say the same. People are the key, the team is the key. I mean, I'm not going to be any different. I mean, we like good teams. We like complete teams where the skills are sort of filling in all possible roles and angles the team needs. The team needs to be capable of delivering what the project promises. So that's what we're looking for, what we're looking at. Interaction with this team is quite important as well. So there's always at some point an interview, some sort of an interaction with them. I mean, after all, well, we are supposed to work with each other for the next, few years. So we better have, a connection, and there's a good chemistry between us and them. So the team is always among, those key factors. And then, the rest is always a combination of, the track record, what's been done so far, how it's been done, how efficiently, with what resources, the traction. So, in some cases, it's a financial traction. In some cases, it's simply a business traction related to attracting certain numbers of, either followers or first users, customers. So we like projects, which are not completely, which are not new in terms of putting what they do to the light. So we like those, who's been experimenting with already certain visibility techniques, marketing techniques, or marketing strategies, and being able to tell the story, how they can go out there and attract and acquire, their customers. We like looking into the partnerships. We like looking into MOUs signed as well, so that we make sure that those projects are not working in the silos, but rather are exposed already, to some potential collaborations, either with the business partners or some other organizations. So again, it's never like sort of the same formula being used, but it's always like a combination, of those few factors we take into account. Okay. I'm trying to skip, those questions which are basically repeating themselves, or if not themselves, I mean, they're basically touching, the same aspects. So there's another question here regarding, us being afraid if we just go down with the entire market. Like I said, I mean, we want to have very well diversified portfolio of the projects, deriving their growth and basically earning money, sourcing their revenue from sort of different sources, different aspects, not on chain entirely. That's we believe the secret here is like proper diversification and being able to hang on different platforms, in different markets. Okay, when the function of voting for projects is added to the panel, like I said, we just put some last touches on the panel. I expect to announce, something, at least, to give you the feeling how it's supposed to look, how it's supposed to work within the next few days, potentially next week. Up to the next 2 weeks, I expect that the panel will be up and running. Once we have, a certain date, obviously we'll make sure that it's properly announced and you know it. Okay, let me go to the next question. What new products that only revenue coin holders will be able to access will be launched in 2022? So that's a question related to one of the properties of the token. So like I said already, we'll make sure there's a certain group of projects or services, products and services delivered by our portfolio companies available only, or over some special properties or conditions to our community, to the RVC community. So, to this question, I'm able to answer this like with a certain sort of degree of confidence in one aspect at least. And here my answer would be, okay, there will be bots, there will be crypto trading bots, and the automated trading strategies, which we currently are good at in terms of providing and designing, and we'll make sure that this solutions are provided to our community on the preferential basis. So that's a combination of our sort of underlying companies, Skyrocket, Xeria especially, as that's what they do best. In terms of other projects, to be honest, it's the question and the matter of the ultimate combination of the portfolio we're going to have. So it's always the matter of the negotiations. If you remember, one of the criteria I mentioned is how well those new portfolio projects are going to fit to the revenue capital ecosystem, and that's also one of the aspects we always take into account when it comes to okay, so what you can offer to our community, what you can offer to other portfolio companies in terms of those synergies. So that's what we try to look into. But before this portfolio exists, it's really difficult to answer the question. But please, be sure that we'll be announcing this information as soon as it appears and as it's available. Are you planning to enter a bigger centralized exchange in the near future, or are you satisfied with the current state of affairs in that area? We are not satisfied. Well, we are satisfied with what we have so far, but we're obviously hungry for more. So we consider listing as yet another marketing approach in order to increase visibility, increase number of wallets, increase exposure, especially in the new markets. Recently we've activated a few listings on the Asian markets. That's what we plan to continue doing. There will be a few more listings with the big ones, with the promised big ones. I will not be announcing any date right now, and I will not be providing any names. We'll be doing this one by one. You can definitely expect more details regarding this pretty soon, I believe. Next days, next couple of weeks. Okay. Skipping a few questions here, which I believe I already answered. Okay, next question. In the last few months, BSC chain was very often overloaded. If I remember correctly, at the beginning of the project, you were thinking about other chains. Do you think about switching revenue to another chain like Ethereum or Luna? Not necessarily switching, right? So I think, abandoning one chain for the purpose of switching to another one, it's actually not the case. What we've been already communicating several times are bridges, and eventually, attaching ourselves to other chains, and that's something what is definitely considered. It's not something what we currently work on, though, to be honest with you. And we are focused on things already mentioned. Absolute priority right now is to make sure that the voting panel works properly, and other utilities related to this voting panel as well, which are being added and activated as we go. But that's definitely something what we do plan to do as well. it's difficult for me, to give you any specific timeframes. At least let me just clearly express the will. Yes, it will happen eventually at some point. The moment when we know more, obviously, I'll be letting you know. Well, or we'll be letting you know of our channels. Okay, next question. After the first round of investments, how do you intend to raise funds for further projects? Is the plan to sell shares of the original projects after their price increases, or do you plan to solve it in a different way? Good question. I mean, again, there are a couple of scenarios, we consider. What we have to do, obviously, and I think it's widely understood, we have to prove the case, before anything else happens, before we even start exercising, the idea of increasing the value, increasing the fund's capacity. We need to make sure that what we originally planned works. So that the token economics we keep talking about is bulletproof, proven, and based on those proofs and the use cases, we can eventually think about something new. So this is, just want to make it clear, this is our utmost focus at this moment. What happens next? I mean, my personal opinion is that we should probably go for other sub funds, meaning that we'll be raising funds for additional funds, maybe more targeted, maybe less generic, as this one is focusing on certain technologies, certain markets, certain types of projects. I don't know. I mean, it's a speculation, obviously, but are we interested in doing this? Yes, we are. Still, the time for this needs to come. Okay, how many projects do you plan to invest in, and when do you more or less plan the moment of investment? I kind of understand this question as the question related to the capacity of the fund. So how much capacity we have, for how many projects. Once again, the size of the tickets per project we currently consider is anything between 150, potentially even up to $1 million. I think 1 million would be rare, but who knows? But this is more or less like the range. Now, this is giving us the capacity of approximately 15, maybe more projects, so anything between 15 and 20 perhaps, would do. So I guess, this is answering the question related to more or less. This is a more or less estimation. Obviously, we'll be more and more precise, as we go. So before now, having the first round concluded, that would be my answer. These are the ambitions. How quickly this will happen, well, we'll see. A bit more than 1 year, couple of years. I mean, it's difficult to say at this moment. It's up to, first of all, the efficiency, of the first batches, and also their performance. If we find good projects quickly and they perform well, obviously, the whole process is going to take. Is going to be performed much faster. That's a good question. I'm not going to answer that. Okay, I'm just going to read it as it's interesting. What is your price prediction for BNB, ETH, RVC? Tricky. I would like to know, to be honest. I would like to know. I will leave my own predictions to myself if you let me. We all have our own predictions, by the way, like within the team. So we don't really have like a standardized prediction as a company. Another good one, why people don't understand that RVC is not a sprinter. I made my point, over the first question, what type of projects we invest in. why we focus on those diversified, or why we focus on a diversified portfolio, why we want to have this portfolio diversified. So first of all, to offset and to outbalance the risks of the crypto market volatility. Unfortunately, the side effect of this is time. I mean, we need basically time, to find and to acquire those good projects so that it all makes sense. So that's like, we keep saying there are certain synergies within the ecosystem. So there's even more value created by those companies working as a one organism, and deriving value also, from belonging to this ecosystem. So that there's an incentive for them, to stay within this ecosystem and to support it, and also to take advantage of this participation. So if you understand, this unfortunately takes time. However, having said that, first projects are coming. We have a few really, really exciting projects. I'm honestly very, very excited about some of these guys coming in, and we'll be announcing them soon. How many projects you plan to invest in? Okay, I think this question is answered. The last one from the list I have prepared, and these are the questions you already asked before I start looking into the questions you're asking now. I can see that there are quite many of them. So the last question from the list, do you have something in mind regarding the metaverse for later? I mean, Revenue Capital as the organization, I mean, it's difficult for me now, to describe a case scenario where we kind of enter the metaverse itself, but definitely will be interested. We are interested in metaverse projects. Yes, constantly looking for good metaverse projects with some track record. With some traction. We have a couple of them, by the way, in the pipeline. One which is looking, I believe, very promising. So again, I hope you will learn about at least this one fairly soon. Okay. Right. Let me have a look at the questions asked, here so far. Okay, voting. I believe I already told you a bit about voting, so moving on. Right, oh, that's a good one. I'm curious on your views on the possibility of this coin being called a security and the legal implications for this. We are not, so the first sort of, my first approach towards this question, we are not sitting idle, just being happy about the legal opinions we currently acquired. And by the way, we have several coming from both Poland, being the EU country, and outside of Poland, Georgia, where the company, Georgia, not US Georgia, but Georgia, the state where the company is currently set up. So we have legal opinions coming from, various legal bodies based there. But like I say, I mean, we don't think this is enough for a long run. It's enough for now to give us, some certainty while talking to exchanges, while being listed and going through this process, but especially when challenged by the regulators, while those regulations on the, let's say, EU level will be changing. We need better jurisdictions. We need further actions towards that. So what I can say, we'll be looking for another more robust jurisdiction for the organization. so that we can basically support our claims with the regulations already being put in place over there, and us fitting in those regulations. I don't want to say right now, which jurisdictions we are talking about, as well. It's still early. We are considering at least 2 right now, but when this is solid enough, let's say, so the direction is solid enough and we have enough information, we are comfortable to share, we'll share it. But basically, long story short, we want to be in the jurisdiction which is supporting our views on the utility aspect of this coin, which is also robust enough to let us be confident that nothing is going to change over there in the at least a shorter time of period. We are also going to announce very soon, I think we're just talking about the next few days, a very interesting partnership giving us first-hand outlook into the newest regulations taking place or designed to take place in the coming future globally in approximately 51 or 52 countries. So we want to be very close, to this source of information to basically see and understand what's coming, to be also ready, how to react. But I appreciate the question. It's actually, we keep being asked that question over and over again. Like, you are kind of looking like a fund. Your token kind of looks like, a security token. Why do you claim, and why do you insist that it's a utility token? I believe we have a pretty solid and good answer, related to this. But I also agree that we should keep basically making all this more robust and more certain. So that's basically how, we plan to do it, and that's our approach towards that. Okay, let me move on. Time is ticking. Let me move on to the next questions. What is the number one problem you are facing now as an organization, and how are you working on this? Problem number one, obviously we have several, right? Like you can imagine. I wouldn't call it a problem. Well, okay, all right. Depends, on the point of view. We knew that this will come. There's a gap, right? There's a certain gap between TGE and listing, last year, and eventually, our token economics kicking off. And there's like this, scary, hairy kind of period, which is now, happening. And unfortunately, what, we're facing over this period, is like a pretty bearish market, and crypto basically, going down, and our token going down with it. What kind of problem it represents? It obviously represents, the image problem and the kind of situation where we cannot respond properly until we have the first project in the portfolio, and those projects supporting the entire system. So obviously we have to do it very, very quickly right now. In the same time, it is not the process which is happening from day to day. So in reality, we started doing this already last year. We didn't have a capacity maybe to put all required steam into this last year. So we just do it starting basically from the very beginning of this year. I still think that the whole process is going pretty quickly. So whoever has been ever dealing with and having anything to do with the venture capital markets, they would know that we're not talking about something what is happening very quickly. Having that said, how we're addressing this, we sort of double down, on making sure that we have good projects being introduced to the system and exposed to you guys, so that you can see them, you can look what's under the hood and basically support our choices. Well, or not support, but I hope that we do, a job which is good enough so that you could appreciate, every single project which is eventually introduced over the voting platform to you, so that you would see that practically every single one can be somehow supported and promoted. Okay, I'm looking at the next question or questions. If we're going to be listed on OKX, maybe one day. I mean, same goes for Binance. I mean, obviously, that these are like the sort of ultimate objectives on our roadmap in terms of listing. There will be a couple of exciting exchanges, I believe, on the way. Happening soon. Okay, going down. Yes, like, when we're going to introduce like the first startup, like I said, a couple of more weeks, please bear with us, when the voting platform is ready. We try to kind of synchronize bringing in the first vetted projects to correlate, the time, so that once we have the voting platform up and running, there will be already at least a couple of the first projects you could have a look at and vote for. Okay. Speaking about exchanges, yes, we are hitting actually a couple of big ones. The whole idea of the listing roadmap, by the way, I mean, I mentioned about the listing or listings and the reason why we continue doing this. We continue introducing new exchanges. Some of them might look a bit exotic to you. Some of them are definitely ringing the bell. It always makes sense, obviously to some degree, but we make sure that it makes sense. Like listing on every single exchange introduced makes sense. And you could also tell probably this that we consider the listing roadmap very seriously. So we brought in Pavel Dolegwo to the team so that he could specifically help us on making this roadmap more robust and our process more direct and faster. But essentially, the road to be listed on exchanges like OKX or like KuCoin goes through eventually being listed in a couple of more smaller exchanges. That's something we learned the hard way, but at the same time, we've also learned that there are very clear benefits of using those exchanges for the marketing purposes. So we don't mind, to be honest. We don't mind, to walk that way, and we don't mind the roadmap itself. That's why I keep saying that there are more exchanges coming, not one, but actually many. There are a couple of big players, big guys, being there, and we'll be there as well. We'll be listed there. We'll be listed, on those you would all know about and you would all recognize. Okay. Thank you for some words of encouragement here. I'm reading, thank you very much, guys. Thank you for some votes of confidence. Well, wanted to say I appreciate this. No, we appreciate it. It's I represent here the entire team, just being the voice and face. Don't quote me here. I'm not very well shaved and maybe not very good looking, but basically the team itself, I'm proud of these guys. I think guys are doing a fantastic job, and any word of encouragement is highly appreciated here. Thank you. I'm just scrolling down Apologies again. I apologize if I miss anything here. I'm trying to like go down, and screen those questions very quickly to make sure that skipping those I already answered, and then focusing on the ones which are which should be answered here. So I apologize if I just skip anything what should be answered here. Like I said, at the beginning, we'll try to harvest those questions later and answer them in the chat. Okay. Going down the list. I'm obviously not reading fast enough. I apologize for that. Okay. Oh, that's a good one. Honestly, I haven't seen questions like that for a while. But what do you do against other competitors coming up with the same project like Revenue Coin? First of all, other projects like that coming in, well, either now or anytime soon, it will be just a sign of the appreciation of our token economics and the way how the whole tokenized revenue-based funding process is supposed to work. So so personally, I would embrace the fact that, well, we have now a sector of the companies like ours following the same model. I'm not necessarily afraid of this companies coming in. It would be the same like again, we are not picturing ourselves as a venture capital fund. Let me just use an example of a venture capital fund here, as it's probably easy to picture that. It would be like a venture capital fund would be afraid that there's another or other venture capital fund coming in anytime soon. There are already thousands of them. They all try to position themselves, finding their niche, finding their focus, relying on their level of expertise. And same is here. I mean, the fact that we are the first ones doesn't mean we are the only ones. We're not meant to be the only ones, first of all. And I really, really count on, having more companies like this, anytime soon. As long as there will be, a certain number of good projects, we should all be happy. Same time, I think it would only provide good education and good signals for the market itself. Right now, we probably tend to be a little bit exotic here. There's no other projects like ours out there. Still, but which cost us some explanation. Usually when we have to introduce it properly. But I have absolutely no. I don't hesitate basically, and I don't have any hesitations when it comes to imagining the situation, the future that this is going to be, if not the standard, at least a mainstream, at least a mainstream, so that we'll be talking about tokenized financial support, tokenized revenues as the new asset class, and eventually, through it being liquid, unlocking, new possibilities comes to growth, when it comes to business models, on the company side. So again, I'm not afraid. I'm going to be super happy, when this happens. Okay, what about burning that happened by buying coins from the market? Will it take place every 3 months, or I understand, how frequently. So, okay, we did a couple of burning exercise. By the way, there will be another one happening as promised by the end of this month. Let it be a surprise when and how much, but there will be yet another one. Those first burning exercises are a part of our marketing strategy. So they don't necessarily have anything to do with the token economics itself yet. Now I recall, actually, there was a question from my previous list. I think I skipped, and that was a good one. Like, what would be? Let me just maybe try to find it quickly. Oh, okay, yeah, that's this question. I think it's a related question to this one. So let me just read it. I hope the token buybacks are continuous and not on fixed dates, so there is less price manipulation. Absolutely, yes. So it's not that there will be, token buybacks happening every 2 months, every 1 month, every 3 months, always at a certain time, always at once. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This process is supposed to be sort of designed in a way which is specifically preventing, those huge price spikes up and down when this happens. So the whole buyback process is supposed to support the token growth, and it will be executed as such. So as soon as company added portfolio and they become revenue positive, and they become they start to provide us with their revenue share, so that the whole token economics process, will be kicked off. We are basically talking about the continuous buyback process, which is going to be spread, across a larger sort of period of time. Okay. Okay. What is your plan to increase awareness of the project? What are plans to increase marketing efforts, eventually resulting in increased appetite and community growth? Could you share some short-term and mid-term examples? Okay, so first of all, we are talking about there are different directions, let's say, and different platforms of raising awareness. The first one, the most probably, the lowest hanging fruit. Something what I think I hinted about it when addressing you guys here on this channel a couple of days ago. But I basically mentioned about an increased activity we plan to introduce to our groups, to our channels, with more jobs to do, with more tasks, with more airdrops happening as a reward. So you can definitely count on more activities as such, and more interactions as such as well happening. Obviously, now I'm saying within the group, but the ultimate goal here is also to attract more new community members to the group and let them stay, to keep them engaged. So that's the first plan and the first attempt. I'm also going to keep addressing you on the regular basis. This is going to be happening once a week, definitely over the Twitter stream. We'll see now, if it's going to be somehow multiplied by the presence on different channels, so that if we just activate, if not an AMA session, I don't actually think we'll be having like such a regular AMA sessions. I mean, we might, we'll see, but I more thought about being able to provide you with updates. So what's new, what's been happening over the last, few days, last couple of weeks, what's in the pipeline, what we plan to do, what's supposed to happen, what's coming. There's this sort of interaction, again, happening on a regular basis. So that's easy, that's the low hanging fruit. On the other sides, we are having a few pretty exciting partnerships in the pipeline. So we plan to integrate ourselves more on both sides. So on the classic venture capital side, sourcing projects from the spreading the word within the communities, of those organizations and those companies about, other sources of funding, other methods of funding. And also partnerships on the obviously crypto side, when it comes to being even more exposed to the on-chain projects, being able to react faster on those who are popping up and and giving us chances for good growth together with them. So there will be like those, again, partnerships with organizations standing on both sides. We plan, obviously, a presence over a couple of conferences this year. There are a couple of them, which we have on the pipeline. So last year we announced our partnership with AIBC conferences. The AIBC conference, we were very much present. Very active on what's happening in Malta. End of November, we plan to be present over the AIBC conferences this year. Definitely the one in Dubai, definitely the one in Malta again. There are a couple of more happening. There's the one in Nairobi, Kenya. There's another one in Toronto. We still kind of discuss internally, what our role should be over there. Again, possibly, there will be you will see us there as well. There are more conferences which we currently discuss together with the role, but again, like being present, like on location and being able to talk to people directly, that's something which we definitely want to do and which we'll keep doing. Another plan or project which we have in the making, and you already saw like a very quick sample and a subset maybe of it. We plan to be very active in terms of inviting prominent members of both the crypto and the classic VC communities to our video channel, so that we would be doing frequent interviews with these guys. Andy Chung, maybe it was easy, right? I mean, he's collaborating with us closely. He's one of our key advisors, but still, he's a high sort of profiled community member, crypto community member. He gave us an interview recently, which we also recently posted on our YouTube channel. There will be more materials and more attempts like that, with quite a few exciting names, I believe. Some of these guys will be just available for the interviews. Some of them will be playing some role in our projects, in our project. Again, this will be introduced as it goes, but basically this is something what we want to do. We also want to, like I said, before, we have some plans when it comes to utilizing our voting platform, also to give more value, to provide more interactions with the community. So we'll go beyond voting for projects. There will be quite a few activities, introduced over there, and the value built on top of those activities. And later on, their aggregated sort of value will be also available, from the platform. So this is supposed to bring people interested, if not in our project, then at least in those value added and exposed over this platform. So these are the few ideas we have. Well, there will be more, definitely. Maybe next time, people responsible for that, could also, say a few words. That's, by the way, the plan. So, when I mentioned about providing you with updates, don't worry. I mean, it won't always be just me talking. I mean, there will be, other members of the team as well. I'll be inviting them, to provide their feedback, to provide the first-hand information, especially when it's something happening, which is not necessarily, my sort of area of expertise. Then I'll be relying on that. Okay, do we have any more questions? Let me check. I think our time window is closing. Let me just answer a couple of more questions, and we'll call it a day. Okay. How are the Xeria and Skyrocket? Or it's probably a question about, okay, now I read it properly, Xerias and Skyrocket. So generally those projects which we plan to support. Since Xeria and Skyrocket are mentioned, yes, I mean the growth roadmaps are prepared, with both ends. Piotr, who's the second CEO of the Revenue Capital, he leaked information about a project called Dexter a while ago. That's a project which is developed currently by Xeria, and we are supposed to hear some news about the growth plan related to this project, and how this is supposed to sort of push the whole ecosystem forward. Skyrocket is working on their own plan. Nothing to be rushed at the moment, so we're not quick to spend money without having a proper backing for it. But I hope to be able to tell you a bit more about the first results these companies are bringing into the ecosystem. Regarding other projects, so how there's 21 shortlisted so far, and others joining in. I was explaining this before, so I'm not going to repeat myself, but I hope it was recorded somehow and noticed. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, guys. I don't see any more questions coming in. I'll be calling it a day. Like I said, there is supposed to be, and I'll make sure it's actually happening, a more frequent interaction with you. We'll be announcing the platform or the platforms, when this is going to happen. It's going to be kicked off starting next week. So we're talking about either Thursdays or Fridays, when those weekly updates will be taking place. I'll make sure those updates are happening live, so that either you see my face or you hear my voice. I'll make sure also to collect questions you keep asking over the previous week, so that some of these questions are answered. I'll be also giving you updates related to, like I said, newest developments, plans, achievements, which we managed to have over the previous days. So you can count on that, and you can count on being informed directly, through this channel or channels. You can count on our admins, by the way, and they tend to have like pretty tough job, kind of making sure that they're on top of everything and being the source of information and know it all. I think they do fantastic job, guys. From this position here, thank you very much for all the effort you're making. Thank you to our admins, you guys, community members as well. I mean, we feel tremendously supported by you. It's an honor to be working for you, and to be supported by you, and to have such a community, such a great community. So once again, thank you very much for all your support, all good words, also all questions, and being inquisitive. This is also pushing us to deliver on the higher levels. So this is highly appreciated. All right. Thank you very much for now. I'll see you the next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.